the faint sweetness of something baking in the oven. I remember laughing when she teased me about always showing up unannounced, though she never really minded. Her younger brother was lounging on the couch when I walked in, controller in hand, eyes glued to some video game. He glanced up, offered a quick smile, then went back to his screen. He was younger, yes, but he had this quiet confidence about him that was hard to overlook. Something in his gaze lingered a moment too long before he turned away. I noticed, but I brushed it off. The evening went as it usually did, her moving about, me chatting with her, the occasional joke exchanged across the room. But then she left. She said she needed to step out for a little while, grabbing her keys and tossing a quick, "You two behave," over her shoulder as she closed the door behind her. That was when the air shifted. It wasn't just silence, it was a weight pressing down, an awareness that we were suddenly alone. He paused his game, leaned back on the couch, and gave me a look that made my stomach twist. It wasn't childish or innocent. It carried something unspoken, something daring. "Guess it's just us now," he said, his tone light but edged with something else. I laughed, trying to keep it casual. "Yeah, it looks like it." But the way he looked at me when I said it, that was the first time I felt the boundary blur, even if I wasn't ready to admit it. I shifted uncomfortably on the edge of the couch, pretending to check my phone. Anything to ignore the heat that suddenly felt like it had filled the room. He leaned forward, elbows on his knees, watching me more than the paused game on the screen. "You always hang out with her," he said, voice lower now, like we were sharing a secret. "But you barely ever talk to me." I glanced up, forcing a small smile. "You're usually too busy with your games." That earned a smirk from him. "Or maybe you never notice me." The words landed heavier than they should have. I opened my mouth to reply, but nothing came out. Because the truth was, I had noticed him. Not often, not in ways I ever let myself linger on, but there had been moments. The way he carried himself, the way his eyes sometimes flicked toward me when he thought I wasn't looking. And now, with no one else in the house, I couldn't hide from the realization. I laughed it off, hoping to ease the weight pressing against my chest. "You're her younger brother. Not exactly someone I'd be noticing." But even as I said it, I could hear how weak it sounded. He leaned back, stretching casually, but his eyes never left mine. "You don't sound so sure about that," he said. My throat tightened. I could have stood up, walked away, waited for her to come back. But I didn't. Instead, I sat there, frozen in the thick silence, aware of how close we were sitting and how close we could become if I didn't stop it now. And deep down, a part of me wasn't sure I wanted to. He shifted a little closer, closing the space between us without making it too obvious. His knee brushed mine, and even that slight touch sent a shiver racing through me. "Relax," he said softly, almost teasing. "I'm not gonna bite." I tried to laugh it off, but it came out shaky. "You're impossible, you know that." "Maybe," he grinned, "but you're smiling now." I liked that. It was such a simple thing, but the way he said it, so direct, so certain, made my chest tighten. No one had noticed that in me for a long time. Not like this. He reached for the remote, his arm brushing against mine deliberately, lingering just long enough to make me swallow hard. My pulse picked up. I could feel the weight of his attention, the unspoken dare in the way he looked at me. "You're nervous," he said, studying me closely. "I'm not," I lied. My voice betrayed me, softer, uneven. "Yeah, you are," he whispered back. "But you don't have to be." The words hung in the air, heavier than anything else that night. And before I could gather my thoughts, he leaned just slightly closer, enough that I could feel his breath on my skin. The banter had shifted, turned into something unspoken but undeniable. And the worst part, I wasn't pulling away. The room felt smaller, as if the walls themselves were leaning in, trapping us in that dangerous bubble. His hand rested casually on the back of the couch, but I could feel the heat radiating off him. My breath came faster, and I hated how aware I was of every little movement he made. "Why are you looking at me like that?" I whispered, my voice almost trembling. "Because," he paused, his eyes dropping briefly to my lips before finding mine again, "you don't even know how beautiful you look right now." My heart stumbled in my chest. No one had said that to me in so long. Not like this, not with such raw honesty. I should have laughed, should have scolded him, should have reminded him of the lines we both knew existed. But instead I froze. His fingers brushed against my arm, slow and deliberate. It wasn't an accident. I knew it. He knew it. I swallowed hard, shifting slightly, but that only brought us closer. His scent, his warmth, the intensity in his gaze, it was overwhelming. "Don't," I finally whispered, though my voice betrayed me with its lack of conviction. He tilted his head, a faint smirk tugging at his lips. "Don't what?" And just like that, the banter was gone. In its place was a tension so thick it felt like one wrong move would shatter everything. And still, my body betrayed me, leaning ever so slightly in his direction. I should have stood up. I should have walked away and ended whatever this was before it spiraled into something I couldn't undo. But instead I stayed. Maybe it was curiosity, maybe it was loneliness, or maybe it was that I just didn't want him to stop looking at me the way he was. His hand, still resting lightly on my arm, slid down, slow, hesitant, as though waiting for me to pull back. I didn't. The warmth of his touch spread through me, awakening something I thought I had long buried. "Do you know what you're doing?" I asked, my voice soft, shaky. He leaned in closer, his eyes locked on mine. "I know exactly what I'm doing. The question is, do you?" A nervous laugh escaped me, the kind of laugh that hides fear and desire all at once. My chest tightened as his fingers brushed against mine, and when he laced them together, I felt a jolt run straight through me. It was such a small thing, holding hands. Innocent, almost. But the way it lingered, the way neither of us let go, made it anything but. I tried to look away, to break free from the magnetic pull, but his face was inches from mine now. His breath mixed with mine, and time seemed to stretch, each second daring us to cross the line we both knew we shouldn't. My lips parted, ready to speak, to stop him, yet no words came. And then, without warning, he closed the space. The moment his lips brushed against mine, the entire world seemed to collapse into silence. It wasn't rushed, it wasn't forceful, just slow, tentative, almost as if he was afraid I'd push him away. But I didn't. Instead, my breath caught in my throat as my body betrayed every ounce of logic in me. The kiss deepened, his hand gently cupping my cheek as if I were something fragile, something he didn't want to break. I should have stopped it. I knew this wasn't right. But the way his mouth moved against mine, hesitant yet filled with a hunger he'd clearly held back for too long, made my resistance crumble piece by piece. When he finally pulled back, his forehead rested against mine, and I realized my heart was racing so fast it felt like it would leap from my chest. "We shouldn't be doing this," I whispered, though even I wasn't sure if it was meant as a warning or a plea for him not to stop. His thumb traced my lower lip, his voice low and trembling. "I know, but tell me you didn't feel that, and I'll walk away right now." I couldn't. My silence was an answer all on its own. And in that moment, the air between us shifted completely. The playful banter, the teasing, the harmless touches, none of it was innocent anymore. He leaned in again, slower this time, as though savoring every second before the inevitable. And when our lips met again, it wasn't hesitant. It was hungry. This time, there was no hesitation, no holding back. His hand slid from my face down to my waist, pulling me closer until I could feel every beat of his racing heart against mine. I gasped, the sound lost between our mouths as his kiss grew deeper, more demanding, and I felt my own body answering him with a hunger I didn't even know I carried. The couch creaked beneath us as I shifted, his weight pressing me back just enough that I felt surrounded, consumed. His fingers gripped at my sides, not rough, but desperate, like he was terrified I might vanish if he let go. My hands found his shoulders, then tangled in his hair, pulling him down to me as if I couldn't stand even a breath of distance between us. Every warning voice in my head was drowned out by the way he tasted, the way his touch burned against my skin. When his lips left mine and trailed softly along my jaw, down to the tender spot beneath my ear, a shiver shot through me, so sharp I nearly cried out. I clutched him harder, every nerve lit alive. "Say it," he murmured against my neck, his voice ragged. "Say you want this as much as I do." I should have said no. I should have pushed him away. But all that slipped from my lips was a trembling whisper. "I do." The words broke something open in him, in both of us. The line we'd been balancing on was gone. We had crossed it, and there was no going back. The moment those words left my mouth, it was like a dam broke. His lips crashed back onto mine, harder this time, deeper, his breath hot, his hands no longer tentative but hungry, exploring every inch of me as if he'd been holding this back for years. I felt my pulse pounding in places I didn't know could throb with such need. My body betrayed every ounce of reason, arching up against him, desperate for more of the warmth and pressure that only he could give me in that moment. His hand slid beneath the hem of my shirt, calloused fingertips brushing against my bare skin, sending sparks shooting down my spine. I gasped, my back arching, and he growled low in his throat like the sound came from somewhere primal, something he couldn't control anymore. I knew this was wrong. Every part of me screamed it, but at the same time, it felt inevitable, like fate had cornered us in that small living room, sealing us inside a secret we couldn't escape. God, you don't know what you do to me, he whispered against my lips before pulling me down beneath him. The words alone made my knees weak, though I wasn't even standing anymore. Time blurred. Seconds. Minutes, I couldn't tell. All I knew was the heat, the weight, the rhythm of us moving together in ways we never should have, and yet couldn't stop. By the time it slowed, when the intensity softened into long, lingering touches and quiet breaths against each other's skin, I knew everything had changed. There was no undoing it, no forgetting it. We had crossed the line fully, completely. And the worst part, I didn't regret it, not in that moment. When it was over, silence filled the room, heavier than any words could ever be. He lay there beside me, his chest rising and falling, and for a moment it felt like the world had stopped. Just us. No rules. No judgment. Only what had just happened. But as reality crept back in, so did the guilt. My heart pounded, not from passion this time, but from fear. Fear of what this meant. Fear of what would happen if anyone ever found out. I caught his eyes, and in them I saw the same mixture of satisfaction and dread that I felt. We didn't need to speak it aloud. We both knew we had crossed into something dangerous, something irreversible. The weight of what we'd done settled deep inside me. Part of me wanted to take it back, to erase every second of it. But another part, the darker part, whispered that I would never forget, never stop craving the way he made me feel. I told myself it was a mistake. Just one night, just one weakness. But the truth was, I already knew this was only the beginning.